and welcome to Piano Shack with me, Woody. Yes, another exciting unboxing and overview video for you today. This is the HYDRASYNTH Deluxe. This video has been a few years in the making actually, so as we unbox it, I'll tell you the back story. But yeah, let's get on with it. I'm not going to lie, it's a bit of a boring box, but hopefully, if we're lucky, it'll be double boxed. As we get started here, I want to let you know that I did not pay for this product. It was sent over to me free of charge as a long-term loan, so for that reason I will mark the video as paid promotion according to the rules. This has been one of the most requested synthesizers for me to demonstrate and review here on the channel, but it's actually been a few years of me thinking about it. I have been in contact with ASHUN sound machines for a few years and they've offered me one way back, but I was a little bit hesitant to accept for the following reasons. Firstly, this is an incredibly powerful and deep digital synth, and as many of you may know, I'm more of a preset flipper, tweak the filter, play with the macro controls kind of guy, and I wasn't sure if I could do this fantastic sound engine justice. Secondly, one of the big features about this synthesizer is the polyphonic aftertouch. Now, that's great, but I'm not really much of an aftertouch guy, let alone polyphonic aftertouch. So again, let's see if this can win me over. Finally, I've seen a lot of preset demos and patch playthroughs on YouTube here, and many of those seem to give the impression that this has a very digital, clinical, cold, dare I say it, metallic sound, which isn't really my thing. I much prefer my synths analog sounding with some warmth. But after doing a bit more research and watching some excellent videos by the makers of this synthesizer, Glenn Darcy and Ken Pierce, two absolute legends, and actually Ken has compared the sound of the oscillators and the filters with his analog Eurorack, and to me it sounds pretty close. So I think we can coax some analog sounds from this, and that will be the topic of a separate video. But the reasons I eventually decided to accept the offer and get one of these in for a demonstration and review is that, well, after watching countless videos and doing my research, you know how it is, I got kind of excited and really wanted to try one out for myself. And I think this is a synthesizer that many of my viewers will be interested in as well, because as I said earlier, this has been by far, I think, the most requested synthesizer that you want me to try out. Some of the features that I'm looking forward to trying out and that have got me very excited, apparently for such a complicated synthesizer, the user interface is very well designed and easy to use. We'll certainly put that to the test as well in a separate video. From the other reviews on YouTube, it seems that the build quality of this is absolutely phenomenal with a metal chassis, really nice knobs and controls. So that's something I'm looking forward to as well. And then I'm really intrigued because the general opinions and the consensus on YouTube and in the forum threads is that this really is a phenomenal synthesizer. The comments and feedback is overwhelmingly positive. I haven't actually seen a single negative comment about this synthesizer, and that's another reason I think it's about time we tried one out. There's a few models in the range. This one, the Deluxe, is the flagship with extra keys and double the polyphony, and it's bitimbral as well, which will be nice, so you can do splits and layers. Then there's the normal model that was launched first, just called the HYDRASYNTH KEYBOARD. Then there's the HYDRASYNTH Explorer, which is a compact synthesizer format with mini keys, and that's the one that I initially was most interested in because I thought it would make a nice doorless jamming setup together with my Machine Plus. But the very nice people over at ASHUN Sound Machines were very persuasive, and they were convinced that the Deluxe here would be the best fit for me as a keyboard player. Okay, so here's a little jam using the very first factory preset that comes up when you start the machine. It's called Saw Expressive. It uses the polyphonic aftertouch, which I'll be trying to use to good effect, and a bit of a groove supplied by the machiner. Wow, I haven't been this excited to do an unboxing of a synth for years, and my first impressions, I'm lost for words. The build quality is astonishing. I'm getting flashbacks to my old Juno synths from the 80s, the DX7. This is, wow, I don't use the word often, but it's built like a tank. What a beast. It's astonishing how solid this is. I didn't think they built them like this anymore, but they obviously do. This is massively thick sheet metal. Just look at these lovely aluminium side panels, reminiscent of the old Jupiter 8. When you have something like this in your studio, it's just impossible to pass by it without just touching it and feeling that cool, solid, thick metal. Yes, I know I'm banging on about it a little bit, but I haven't seen anything built like this for years. As other reviewers have said, the feel of these endless rotary knobs is absolutely phenomenal, with just the right amount of resistance, absolutely no slop. These have a start and stop position. Depends on the function, I suppose. These, I know, are your macro knobs that change function depending on which part of the synth you are programming. I'm really excited to show you this part of the synthesizer because this is what makes it so easy to program. This is your patch selection knob. Just look at this thing, it's absolutely gorgeous. More phenomenal feeling knobs. Switch gear as well. Oh, look at that. Those clicks. This thing is heavy as well. And this piece here, in case you were curious what it is, it's all wrapped up right now in the protective foam, but this is also about 5 mil of sheet metal. And what you do with this is you attach it on the back, like so, and then you have a flat area to put your drum machine, little mini keyboard, whatever it might be. Hopefully my Machine Plus will fit on here really nicely, making quite a compact footprint. Okay, there's the screws, you see, where you can very tightly fit it. I can't loosen those by fingers. There is a slot in there, I guess. Yeah, that's where you attach the accessory plate, included in the purchase. Oh, I haven't actually tested the keys. They feel really good as well. I was a bit concerned how they might feel because of the polyphonic aftertouch. But they're just fine and actually really easy to play. Let me give you a close-up. Yeah, I was a bit worried they might feel a bit weird because of all this poly aftertouch, but they do feel a bit unusual, but really easy to play towards the back, which is usually the sign of a very good key bed. They are a bit clattery and clunky in the acoustic noise they make when you play them. Nothing that bothers me. Okay, I'll be honest with you here. The only thing that really does detract from the quality feel of this and the pro construction is this wall wart external power supply. So that's a bit of a shame, I must say. It would have been much nicer with a built-in power supply and a more rugged, standard kettle power lead. And here's a multi-sound that I made myself, consisting of 2 of these single programs. So it's a layer, you'll hear a nice pad sound and a plinky plonky arpeggiator. So I propose, if you don't mind, that we power this on and I'll give you a quick tour of the front panel, because I know roughly how it works after doing some research, but we won't go into any depth. I'll just give you a tour of the panel from left to right. Okay, this is new to me. I've never seen one of these before, obviously, and I haven't practiced or prepared, so we'll just ad-lib it. Let's start on the left here and move our way over. They've got some nice, very unusual joystick mod wheels here with like a paddle on the top. That's going to take a little bit of getting used to, I guess, but they feel superb, as you would expect. They are indeed backlit as well. I do believe you can change the colours of those if you want to. So this section is exclusive, well, not the volume control, I guess, but the controls here and the balance is exclusive to the HYDRASYNTH Deluxe. Basically, it's actually two HYDRASYNTHs. You can think of it that way, in one keyboard. So instead of 8-note polyphony, you get 16, and you can also combine two synths in a split or a layer. Each part would then be 8-voice polyphony. So yeah, these would be then the controls that are unique to the Deluxe. You've got your balance, oh here we go, upper, lower, single, multis, so on. Really nice, I don't know if you can see it, really nice LED collars around some of these knobs. So you'll always get an indication of the current setting of the parameter. Look at that. Yeah, these feel absolutely gorgeous. Moving over then, we have at the top we have some CV ins and outs if you want to connect this to modular or Eurorack. Not something that I'm into, but it's nice to have them there, I suppose, for those of you that do enjoy that. And then we have a whole section dedicated to the arpeggiator. Tempo, ratchet, chance, you can have some probability and randomness on your patterns, and a gate as well, the length of the notes or the length of the trigger of the arpeggiator. And here you've got these gorgeous clicky dials for adjusting the octave, the mode, and so on. That's nice, and some pulsating buttons down here as well, showing the tempo. Yeah, look at that. That's a nice touch. What you're starting to see here on the left-hand side of the screen, if I zoom out a little bit for you, is this fabulous 4-octave, yes, touch strip that can be played in many different modes, so we'll have to explore that later. I've never had any synthesizer or keyboard with such a touch strip. Not in this length anyway, that's pretty magnificent. Okay, continuing on, we get to this must be your preset selection and browsing section here in the middle. Yes, this is your patch storage and selection interface here. Let's see, whiz through these really tiny fonts. So it's going to be a struggle for me with my knackered old eyes. But I do have a magnifying glass, so it will be okay. All of these are really, really tiny. I was a little bit concerned going into this, if this would be a problem for me personally, and I think it will be, but we'll have to find a way to deal with it and learn muscle memory, so I won't need to stare at the screens too much. You can see if we go over to our macro section and where we edit the parameters of the synthesizer, it's a similar situation with pretty small fonts on the screens, but yeah, hopefully it won't be an issue for you. Again, gorgeous controls here with the LED collars going around them. This section they call the master control. Yeah. Over here we have our filter, of course, one of the most important controls on a synth, and we have nice encoders here. For some reason these aren't endless rotaries with the collars going around. I think that's because on filters some people like to feel where it stops and then maxes out. So that's probably the reason why they've done that. But yeah, the most important filter controls up here, and we have two filters as well that we can swap between. I just noticed over here, this is a very nice touch. From watching many YouTube videos, I've seen that this keyboard is full of thoughtful touches. So yeah, we have headphone outputs on the front on two different sizes. Yeah, the main 1/4-inch jack and the small 3.5mm. And oh, even a separate headphone volume there. Yeah, that's really thoughtful, isn't it? So this module select is a very ingenious design. I think you can see the entire layout of the synthesizer architecture and the signal flow from left to right. And then whenever you select one of these modules, you get access to the most important controls to edit it over there on the master control section. So hopefully this will be a breeze to program once I've memorized what all of those master control knobs do for each section. Starting over here then, we have 3 oscillators. This is a 3 oscillator synth. Each of the 8 notes can have 3 oscillators, 1, 2, and 3. The oscillators on this can be single cycle waveforms, digital waveforms, or you can connect 8 of them together into a wavetable and then morph between them. The first 2 oscillators you can mutate, and that is functions like FM synthesis or pulse width modulation, and about a dozen other interesting effects, ring modulation for example. So you can activate those if you wish for oscillators 1 and 2. And it wasn't apparent to me until I got this synthesizer in front of me, but you can actually have 2 mutants per oscillator. But the third oscillator is slightly different. It looks like this one. You have the possibility to choose a ring modulator or a noise as well. And I know this one has various different types of noise built in as well. Brown noise, white noise, pink noise, whatever color you like. Then we have a mixer over here in the middle, of course. And then we're sending everything through the filters and the amplifiers, the envelopes. Let's take a look at that section. 5 envelopes to choose from here. These aren't your standard ADSRs, although I think they can be if you want them to be, but they are much more complex and powerful than that if you need them. By default then, the first envelope is assigned to the filter, or the 2 filters, and the second envelope is going to the amp. So yeah, that's your pretty standard configuration. We also have 5 LFOs here on the bottom, and they are pulsing to show the speed of the LFO. Again, a very nice touch. I think I skipped over the mixer in the middle, but this is where you mix the relative levels of each of the oscillators, of course. We have an amplifier module there. We'll have to see later what that does. Then we have pre-FX. I suppose this is your chorus, flanges, and so on. And then we have reverb and delay over here as well. And then master effects. So this section here is for your effects. And by the way, in case you were wondering, the control panel here, apart from the layer and split stuff, is exactly the same as you get in the regular HYDRASYNTH keyboard. On the Explorer model, it's slightly cut down. You don't get 8 of these master controls, only 4. I think they've also reduced the controls available on the filter as well. But this is the most important thing that enables you to quickly navigate around the synth. Let's just take a look and see how that works. So if, for example, we press this module, oscillator 1, then over here on the master controls, you get all of the parameters that are relevant for this particular module. So for example, I can zoom in case you can't read the screen either. And, we're going to have to take this into a darkened room, I think, so we can really see these screens in all their glory. But the way it works, I've selected oscillator 1. Now we get the main parameters for that, which mode, if it's a wavetable or a single cycle. I think ASM call it something else than wavetable. But here is where you select your waveforms. If I just back out a little bit here so you can see, get incredibly cool visualization on this screen of what the waveform looks like. And yeah, there are about 200 of these to choose from. In wavetable mode, you can assign one single cycle waveform to the 8 different slots and then morph between them or modulate between them if you so wish. Let me get you a close-up of the oscillator, or the, yeah, this does work as an oscillator when you're playing as well, like so. Look at that. Very nice. But as you're selecting the waveforms, it shows you which one you're choosing. Yeah, lots of variety there. I'm looking forward to exploring this together with you in a separate video. So I've got a funky little groove for you here. It's a split, so again a multi, but on the left hand I have a very nice analog style bass sound and a warm pad in the right. Let's give it a shot. Let's do this. It is so annoying when you record a video and then realize afterwards you didn't press record. So I'll have to try and remember what topics I was talking about. Firstly, we have the Poly Aftertouch, well, Poly Touch is their trademark for their technology for the polyphonic aftertouch. That's nice. I think they're even starting to license this and sell it to other brands as well. I'm not normally a fan of branding and product names on the front panel of a synth. I can usually remember what synthesizer I'm playing, but this is actually quite nice. It's huge, as you can see, but I like the design. And there's some nice swoosh there of their branding, which I'm not sure is coming across there from that angle. Perhaps you can see it. It looks really attractive and I love the fonts. I think I also gave you a tour around the back, so why don't we do that again? Because I don't think I have that footage. So let's hop over here and please bear with me as we set up a good camera angle just to quickly show you what's going on around the back. Okay, we have the DC power input, a strain relief clip that you should really be using on off as well. We have USB, which is for MIDI. I don't know about audio, but we'll put that to the test later. Also, they have a librarian software on the PC, but not a editor yet. Anyway, I think they're thinking that the front panel is so intuitive and hands-on, you don't really need an editor, but we'll see about that. Moving over a bit more, we have 3 round MIDI sockets. Through, out and in, which is a luxury in this day and age. Then we have the sustain and expression inputs there as well. And to wrap it up, and this is a new thing just on the Deluxe, we have actually 2 pairs of stereo outputs. You can send each part of the layer or split to its own pair of outputs. Presumably you can mix them into one if that's something you prefer. It is a shame that I can't read the text on these screens, but I don't blame ASM for that. That's my problem. It's just going to make learning the synthesizer and using it, operating it, a little bit more difficult because I'm going to have to try and commit what all of these knobs do to memory for every one of these sound modules. But it's doable and I'm willing to invest some time into this beautiful synth. So I was really happy to see that the laptop stand does fit my Machine. I think it's supposed to call it Machine Plus. It fits it perfectly. Not sure if we can see, but there it is. Another thing I just wanted to mention, it's made of very solid metal, but it's also coated with very thick rubber pads here. Big sheet of rubber, in fact, both protecting the back of the instrument and whatever you decide to put on top of it. Just another example of a very thoughtful touch, attention to detail. And yes, talking of which, this thing has a fabulous light show. I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but this thing is solid. The actual weight of it is very impressive as well. They haven't tried to cut corners and make this a lightweight instrument, which I really appreciate. This is solid and it's not going to go anywhere when you put it on your keyboard stand, and I much prefer the feeling of a quality, well-made, heavy instrument than something lightweight and in plastic. I'm not going to be transporting this around to gigs, so I don't really care how much it weighs. The more, the better. So I think we can start wrapping up this video anyway for today, but I can share with you my plans for this and what we're going to do in the coming months. So I'd like to have a crack at programming this, even if I'm not a sound designer. That's the whole point of this. It's supposed to be intuitive and easy to edit and make your own sounds. So let's put that to the test. If I can do it, anybody can. Also, can we do some simple analog sounds? I like the architecture of the Prophet 5, the Juno 6, anything more than that and I start to struggle. So can this do some simple sounds? Also, can it do analog sounds? Not just the cold digital sounds that we've heard on many of the demos. I'm more into the warm analog sounds, so let's see if we can do that as well. The unique feature for the Deluxe is this dual layer architecture where we're going to have two different synth sounds going on at the same time, splits, layers, dual arpeggios and so on. So I'd love to explore that and share it with you. Yeah, of course, there'll be the usual sound demos. I'm also really curious how it is when we connect this up together with the Maschine Plus for some beats and some synth sounds. I'll be sharing my musical journeys with you. And of course, as we get to know the synth, I'll be sharing my tips and tricks as we go. And eventually, once I've really figured this thing out, we'll do a conclusion and a review video. But all of those will be separate topics for separate videos. We're just getting started. So once again, a shout out and huge thanks to ASHUN Sound Machines for making this series of videos possible. And thank you, as always, to you, my viewers. I'll see you next time. Cheerio.